All right, we are live. We are live. We are live. Yes, so you guys know that I like to just get right on into it. So I want to welcome everybody for coming here to KSheaO's channeling sessions, where it's more than just a channel, but we are channeling high vibrations, high frequencies, high beautiful energies, and I'm truly appreciative of this platform that you guys join. So today we are going to be talking about the art of movement complemented with mental discipline. And I am truly honored to have my brother on here with me. Okay, let me tell you guys first before we get into the topic. All the newcomers, thank you so much for being here because you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with us. And I truly appreciate it. And with that being said, would you please be able to hit that like, touch that notification bell, and hit the subscribe button because it will be more content that will be forthcoming. And I'll truly appreciate that for sure. And share it as well because it's going to be really good. For all those who have been rocking with me for a minute, I truly appreciate your dedication and loyalty, and it truly means a whole lot to me. So thank you so much. So, getting right into the topic. So, first, let me give y'all a little backstory synopsis, okay? So, my brother Irvin, right? He has always been like the most disciplined one out of all of us. I kid you not, when we were in high school. So, he will always be on it, always on time, always on his A game, and he always had this gift of movement. So it's kind of like he had like this divine partnership with, his rudimentary skills and with, just playing and just being a part of a cohesive whole. And I always admired that about him. So he was like our barometer of time. So if we were off track or not on time or not doing something, he'd be the one to get us all together so we can all be in sync and just move as one. And I always appreciated him for that. And he just had this radiant personality where he would light up any room, and he's just a phenomenal individual. So I would love to welcome my dear brother Irvin. How you doing, bro?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, no worries. I appreciate you accepting my invite and being here with me today. So, bro, tell us what you about, what you got going on. You got any current projects? What's up with you?
So it's a kind of a whirlwind of things going on right now. Even though it's to me, it kind of seems like I probably could be doing more. But last year I was working for United Healthcare, and then something went down with that. I ended up not with that opportunity anymore.
Hmm.
So in that happening, I kind of moved over into teaching full time.
Okay.
uh, Doing stuff with the Global Education Center here in Nashville, breaking classes and capoeira classes. I was going to different high schools and some elementary schools, and then I also did some stuff with the Juvenile Detention Center as well.
Okay.
So that kind of springboarded into what I am doing now, um, doing residencies in elementary schools of teaching capoeira, teaching breaking, and some other forms of movement as well, and then doing the adult classes as well, taking over those full time because my teacher kind of had phased out of it for a little bit. He's still around, he comes to help out every now and then, and keeps things kind of on track. But he's got other stuff going on in other states, so he kind of handed it off to me, and
Hmm.
that's been crazy. We've been having classes probably 6 days a week. So on top of that, and the kids classes as well. So that's what's going on with the teaching. I'm still in the podcast realm. I used to do a show called Meanwhile on Funkatron. Maybe we'll do some stuff later on. I'm not sure. It's been a minute. But right now, I'm kind of shifting my podcast efforts into a place I call the Electrifying Dojo, where I take a video game music and I make a radio show out of that and kind of talk about different things that relate to that, that genre of music and whatnot, and bring attention to that. Because I've always liked that sort of music. I've always kind of been on some weird stuff. So that's what's going on with that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also teaching breaking for a studio called Construct. And I'm doing that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I just did a TED talk with them talking about the similarities of breaking and capoeira and the history and things like that. So that is what's going on. And right now, I'm just trying to find something else to kind of get into to keep these different streams of creativity going. So, I'll probably be looking into coding next because I need to brush back up on that. That's
Nice.
what I got going on.
That's so dope. It's like you've always been uniquely in tune with so many different variations of things. And it's always so intriguing because everybody else will be like entertained with something else. But it's like your sphere of, uniqueness was always so, dynamic and pure. It's like the thing is, with your uniqueness, you never tried to pressure or invoke it on anybody. But whenever somebody sparked an interest, you'll be sure to like deliver that information in abundance. And it'll be such an eye opener. And I truly always appreciated that. So just to go into movement, tell us about when you first developed your passion for like dancing and moving and, just the creative arts in that arena.
Cool, cool. So that started since I was like younger, watching what is it, Ninja Turtles and um, all these guys, Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and stuff. That's just what I wanted to do. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to go outside. I wanted to jump, flip, and do all this crazy stuff, kick in the air. And people who knew me can tell you the story. Like this guy probably hasn't changed much since then, but now I just found a reason to do it every day. But yeah, that's just something I always been connected to. Like first was martial arts, that got me into moving and turning and flipping, and then later on, breaking was kind of making a resurgence in the media. Like I would say, like the mid '90s or whatnot, with
Mm-hmm.
different commercials and things like that. And also, the capoeira was making a resurgence with movies like Only the Strong, and of course, people know Tekken 3, with Eddie Gordo and stuff. And all of these things kind of culminated into one for me, where I was just interested in all of it and trying all of it. And of course, later on, music would hit me a little more as I got to high school. Trying to join the band, as you know, King Band. We both came in. What was it 2001, 2000, fall
Yeah.
2000, I think. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I never really was a natural dancer. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't. And I actually remember the first time, rest in peace, Mr. Greer, he had me come up to the front of the classroom and we were in Brazilian Rhyme.
Mm.
And I never forget because we had that dance in the beginning that was like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
I had to do that. And
Yeah.
I was so stiff. And then we got to the part, boom, do, 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 do. And I was so stiff. And he was like, oh, Lord, prayer, I don't know what you're doing, man. But actually, just being a band and like for me, it took me a minute to catch on. I'm not gonna lie. I will be honest with everybody. Like, man, I was a career from probably like '01 to '03. You know what I'm saying? It just finally clicked that year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it hit me. Kind of around that time when it started to hit me, I started to learn how to move and sync with the music and just play and feel it. I finally learned how to feel it. And then that's when I started breaking actually. So those two things kind of happened simultaneously. So the breaking happened then. There was a guy, we call him Sky, we call him Skywalker J back then, but now his name's Preach. He used to go to King back then. And he was in the hallway doing Kung Fu, but he found out I could flip. So he came back up to school one day, like, man, I heard you could flip. I was like, yeah. He was like, you should try breaking. I'm like, okay, why would I do that? He was like, you can be like Jackie Chan, but you dance at the same time, you do your own stunts. And he had me at that. So from then on, and y'all will see me, we would have that little 30-minute break after 8 hour, eighth hour, and then Miss Miller would start at 4:30. I was in there practicing before band in the
Yeah.
hallway, flipping and turning and stuff, and that kind of was just the start of everything.
Wow. That's so cool. I didn't know it was like integrated like that. That is so cool. So with that being said, before I get into anything else, can you explain to us to what capoeira is?
Scene. Okay. Oh, see, look. because capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian martial art, so the language is Portuguese that most of the movements are in, and we speak Portuguese here and there. I'm not fluent yet, but I speak a little bit, so sometimes I will respond sim, which is yes in Portuguese,
Okay.
because I'll be forgetting. Sometimes I'd be talking to people, but capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian martial art that was developed around the time of the 1500s during the transatlantic slave trade. So a lot of slaves were taken from Africa, places like Angola, Nigeria, Senegal, Benin, all these different places, and taken to the Caribbean. And one of the places that a lot of slaves were taken were to Brazil. And in that, they put their cultures and movements together to create an art form, but also a martial art form to gain freedom. They disguised it as a dance, so the slave masters weren't aware of what they were training. And when it was time to, revolt, they used the capoeira to form villages called Colombos once they fought off the slave masters and the aggressors and whatnot. And now it's a worldwide thing. Is you can't really go anywhere, any country, without finding a capoeira holder. The holder is the circle where it happens, where the two people play in the middle. Since it is a martial art, it's also a game. It's a spirituality, it's heritage, and so many different things wrapped into one. I will be here all day trying to tell you exactly what it is, but it's all of that, and it's very similar to hip hop in that right, I would say.
Okay. So with that being said, just looking at it a little bit, um, it's like it's a certain type of mental discipline that has to be complemented with that art form of dance.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, can you kind of like tell us about that mental discipline that is basically a necessary component in order for you to be able to master that art or be able to, dance and articulate the style of capoeira?
Yes, it definitely takes a lot of mental discipline because there are so many different things happening within that sphere. It's almost you can like how you hear like sometimes who is it Bobby Hemmett, he always says like a microcosm of the macrocosm.
Yes.
It's essentially that. It is a microcosm of the macrocosm. So the things that are happening outside are almost always happening inside. There's a whole thing happening, and my teacher even sometimes will describe it as a divinity system to a divination system to a certain way. Things won't play out the way you think they will, but they do play out in a certain way that can reveal things to you. So in that, you do have to have mental discipline, first of all, to be focused. Um, Being in the space you are in, being in that moment. That's the first thing, because anything can happen. Even though you trained every day, do the same thing over and over, the way that you might have trained the sequence or whatever in that simulation is not how it's going in the actual thing, you know? So you got to be on your toes. You got to be in the moment. The second thing is there's lots of music and things happening around you. You got to be in tune with the music. You can't get so caught up in it that you're not aware of what's in front of you. But you also can't be so detached from it that you don't hear it and be in tune and feel the rhythm. Because sometimes that's the thing that saved me, the timing. Got to be aware of the timing. So you got to be fully engaged in this space. And then also you got to be aware of the person that you're in there with, that you're playing. What are they saying to you? What are they presenting to you? What challenge are they presenting to you? It's a conversation. Like me and you are talking right now. It's just a conversation with kicks and takedowns and throws and acrobatic movements and things like that. So you got to listen so you can be able to answer that question, because every time they hit you with something, they're presenting you with a question. Every time you respond, that's how you responded, right? And depending on how engaged you are in that moment and in that conversation will depend on how well things go. Because you could be the baddest dude or lady ever at this and have all the moves. But when you're in there and you're not listening and it's not going with that conversation, then people are going to be like, all right, you didn't play a good game because you wasn't in that moment. You know, like if we sitting here, we talking about, all right, I like Fruit Loops. And I'm like, all right, I like Golden Grams though. You know what I'm saying? Then somebody come out of nowhere and be like, yeah, but I like gummy bears. You gonna look at them like, what the? Gummy bears,
Right.
because we
Where's the
were talking about
correlation?
cereal.
Mm.
They came in and just said gummy bears, they wasn't aware of the conversation either. So you got to be on the topic of what's happening. And
Mhm.
that's another thing about the mental discipline, because the ego, which is, I'll say, a mental thing, right? You got to be able to keep that in check.
Mm.
That's another part of mental discipline, because no matter how good you are, this moment can humble you. Whether the first day or the 100th or 100,000th day, you're going to get surprised by somebody, no matter how long you've been doing it. And it doesn't matter the level. Everybody's even in the fact that you got to remember that. So you can't come in there with your ego like, well, I've been doing it this many years. I'm going to beat everybody up. Well, I know the only way, and my way is the only way. No, you got to shut that down and just be a part of the process.
Mm.
And then you will play your best game and the best things will come out. And I think that is true in life too. But I
Okay.
think that for me is part of the mental discipline. But on top of that, even training when you're not even there, you don't want to do it, but you know you need to. You got to stretch, because when it's time to be ready, you're ready. You got to warm up, you got to run, you got to take care of these things. So that way, when it's time to go, you're not thinking about, oh man, I didn't stretch enough, I'm not flexible enough, or oh man, I didn't train that kick enough, I'm gonna fall on my butt.
Mm.
So all of that plays a part, I think, in the mental discipline.
That is so interesting to me, that it is like it's such a part of a whole that you can't be detached, but you can't be so engulfed. It's
That's right.
like a balance. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It's like that beautiful equilibrium that allows you to flow, not just with yourself and your thoughts and your mental discipline, but with those that are around you. So
That's
this
right.
is not like a me game. You know what I'm saying? This is not
Mm-hmm.
like
Definitely not.
I'm shining and I'm out here and this is me and I'm just showing off my talent. No, this is a cohesive unit and we working together. We got to be on the same page, and that's
Right.
that's very interesting to me, and I truly appreciate that concept. And with that being said, it's like when you're in the motion of movement,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't it bring like more mental clarity to you, like even throughout your day when you're not involved into dancing and things of that nature? Don't it like kind of keeps you going, like removing like that stagnation or that mental fog that you may be having, because it's like your movement is allowing you to vibrate higher to a certain degree to where you don't feel like you're just, stuck, so to speak.
That's right. Yes, exactly. It takes you out of your head so much. Now, I'm gonna sit here and we talk about mental discipline. I
Hmm.
want to say that I'm not, you know, the expert or anything like that, or I'm not the person who has it all figured out. I am somebody who very much can be in my own head sometimes, and I just want to put that first and foremost. But what does put me in a good space, like a meditative space, is moving. Like whether I'm running, I'm dancing, or I'm doing the capoeira or whatever, that puts me in a good space. As you said, it helps you to keep going, to get out of your head, and to be a part of a certain process, feel what's around you, and to be sensitive to a certain degree, and to be able to let go. And letting go is very important in this part of the process. You know what I mean? Uh, you got to be able to let go. You understand? And there's a lot of things I want to hold on to. Oh, this happened. I'm mad about that. But what I found most, when I kind of find that place in between not being in control, but finding in that moment of not being in control, this opportunity to speak a different way, to move a different way, then that's power,
Wow.
because we can't always control how things are going. We might have plans to go one way. I wanted to do this move, but then something as small as how my toe is or my wrist or wherever this is, that changes the whole game. But being okay with that sometimes, because there's an opportunity in that you may have done something that you never done before. So when you translate that to life, a lot of times we plan things, and you know you can take it hard if it don't go as planned. But at the same time, we look and we go, well, you know what? That did happen, and if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be in this position right now to be doing this. And I feel it helps us to be able to make those correlations in those other realms of life.
Hmm. Wow, that is so dynamic. And it's so directly applicable to your personal life. So it's not a separate entity,
Oh
you
no.
know, it's not something that you can just easily like detach yourself from. It's kind of like it subliminally goes with you
Mm-hmm.
after you're done with the movements. It's like even though you're not physically moving, it allows you to recalibrate a focus to where you're still mentally in tune with, just that, I want to say, I guess, that style or the feel that you retrieve from engaging in those type of movements, because it allows you to be like a lot more fluid, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's so interesting. So, are there any other art forms of dance or styles that you engage in that is like engaging with your thoughts and things of that nature as well too, that you incorporate within your being on a daily basis?
Well, it's multiple styles. It's just my main styles that I do that I practice the most would probably be capoeira, because that's I do that every day, and then breaking, of course, because that's where I started.
Hmm.
So I do those the most, and those were the ones that I started with, and then of course I've been learning many different styles over the years. So popping, I started learning popping and boogaloo and stuff like that, waving and all that, and then started picking up jit, during my summers coming back home from TSU. Started
Hmm.
picking up jit with strings out there at Hardcore Detroit. So I started learning jit. Then I started learning a little bit of house, learning house, locking. And then I've been learning lately the Memphis style, juking.
Okay.
So and in learning all those things, it just you start to see that these things are more similar than they are different. And I use every one of those things, you know, depending on what the song is, the feel, because I'm the person I want to be able to move to whatever song I hear, and try not to be stuck in, oh, I just got to do this style and do that style. So I like being able to have that wide variety of dances. And the thing is, I'm still learning in all of them. I mean,
Hmm.
that's where you want to be. A lot of times you go, man, I'm still learning, man. I feel like I said, no, that's the best place to be. Because when you know everything, you don't need to do anything anymore.
Right.
So you might as well just go on somewhere else. And the thing is, even when you like are when you have to teach, there's less time for you to train for yourself. So then you're like, man, I kind of want to be a student again. Even though as a teacher you are a student, right?
Right.
Because I
Right.
be learning stuff every time I be teaching people. Like I be telling them all the time, I don't got all the answers, but you learn even then. But it's a different, thing when you just got to be responsible for you, as opposed to being responsible for all these other entities and folks and thoughts and walks of life and paths and things like that. So I say all that to say, although there are many different paths, and I might go different ways, I know they all lead to one place. They all come to the center, and that's helping me to respect all different types of disciplines and other things as well that don't have anything to do with movement or whatever. You just see somebody passionate about something and they talking about it, and you may not even have thought about it, but you're like, you know what? That's dope, because that's their path to the truth. We all going to the same place. It's just the way we get in there is different, you know. And I just feel like movement helps me find that path.
I love the way you said that we all have a path that we must travel, but there are different variations to the travel.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, it's like you can't judge nobody else's travel or their method of movement, because that's what they need to do in order for them to achieve their goal, you
Right.
know. And I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in being so judgmental, and we are expecting this version of ourselves out of other people,
Mm-hmm.
that it limits and it restricts us of expansion, of growing, and I really love how you touched on also too. It's like sometimes you just want to be that student. You want to absorb that information. You want to be better. You want to see where you can go, from a mental, emotional, or a spiritual place. And from all the places that I've been and all the places that I've lived, there has been different, religious sects, different spiritualities, and different just ways of life. But with that being said, and me going in with an unbiased and unjudgmental eye, I have been able to pull something from every culture, every aspect, every place that I've lived,
Mm-hmm.
because they all had something to contribute to my growth. At this point in my life, everything feeds my growth. Everything. So I can't sit up here and say, well, you know what, I'm not going to get myself involved in that because I'm not used to that. I wasn't brought up that way, or I don't like that one sentence that person said, so I'm gonna just disregard everything that they talking about. But I can't be like that. I can't be so, you know, judgmental and just so closed-minded to where I don't feel like I can be filled up with different, aspects and different ways of life and things of that nature. It just makes me better as a person. So with that being said, I just want to ask, if there are individuals that are out there who love to move, and love to dance and the art of dancing, but really don't know how to utilize that to complement who they are as far as, applying it to something that they want to do to catapult their life as far as like a career
Mm-hmm.
or something of that nature, what type of advice you can give to that individual for them to be more focused and have more calibrated thoughts and to integrating their passion to making it successful for them?
Gotcha. Well, the first thing I would say is you definitely got to start. If you want to do it, the first thing is you got to start. And you definitely want, when you start, you definitely want to believe in what you're doing. You want to feel what you're doing and not too much letting anybody get in the way of that belief. If that's where you feel you're supposed to be in your heart, then you do it. And be okay after you start to be where you are, and understand what it means to be there. So when you reach the next level, you can see where you came from, but now you know what the mission is. Okay, I'm here. What does it mean to be here now at this level? And move from there. And then you'll get the most out of it that way. I mean, yeah, we're going to look and see other people that inspire us and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And, but don't get discouraged by it. You still got your path to walk. So that's one thing I would say. You got to stay focused. And then consistency. You got to keep doing it. And I could tell you stories that, I've been doing all of this stuff for years. And I've been wanting this and that and wanting, and I had to do this and that and stuff. But when it's time for the opportunities to rise, they come. It just, when it's time, it's time. But you got to make sure you're staying consistent. So when it does show up and you see that opportunity, it's right there. You can go towards it. But if you're not consistent, it's not going to come. The other thing I would say is you got to be okay really getting to know yourself. What are your habits? How do you move? How is your body built? Really understanding yourself and your body and being aware of that, being aware of your surroundings and stuff, how you connect with music, how you connect with other people and stuff. You got to know all of that. And that way you can choose, your style. That's the other thing. You got to be able to have your own style. It's okay to emulate because that's how we learn in the beginning. How did we learn to talk? We had our parents to emulate how did they talk, We got grandparents and things like that. How we learn how to wash dishes, probably from our grandparents, aunts and uncles and stuff like that and all these other things. So it's okay when you're starting off to emulate. But as you do that, you need to start to find your way. What is my voice? How do I move? What speaks to me? So you got to kind of be really balanced. Also, you got to have patience
Mm-hmm.
because that goes hand in hand. I think with consistency, you got to have patience because it ain't gonna go as fast as you wanted to go. And if it does go as fast as you wanted to go, are you going to appreciate it as much as you would if you had to have a journey? Then you look back on that journey, you're like, man, that was really fun. That was dope. You feel fulfilled when you can see the journey. Like, man, I did have a journey. And you think about all the people you met, all the pit stops, and even sometimes the pitfalls. You go, oh man, that wasn't that bad. That's
Mhm.
how I got here. So I just think it's a combination of all those things.
Mhm. Wow, that's really interesting. Real quick, Darren has a question. He said, I just want to hear you guys' thoughts. How does the flow state go along with mental discipline? What are your thoughts on that?
Ah, hello, hello, hello. This is one of my homeboys here from TSU. One of my first breaking students out there at TSU. Um, so how does it go into the flow state? So first of all, you gotta build that muscle memory, right? By training, repetition. So you gotta do stuff over and over. That goes with the consistency, right? You don't want to do that, but you gotta do it so your body understands it. So once your body understands it, you got that muscle memory that comes from that mental discipline to know that I have to be consistent. I have to do this more than one time in order for me to really get there. So then when the flow state pops in, that song come on, that beat hit, boom, 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 and you do boom, 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 like whatever move that you've been practicing, and you do it right in time with the music, didn't even think about it, and it just happened effortlessly. That's how the flow state goes in. To you're not even thinking, your body just like, okay, that's where the music's at. That's what I'm doing. And if I was like, whoa, how did you even? He's like, I don't know, because you
Right.
just been training and training and training and training. So when the moment came, you just so much in tune with everything. It all kind of works together. So I think that the mental discipline informs the flow state. And I think it was something that Bruce Lee said was he said you got to train every part of your body so when the moment comes you're ready. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that goes in part with it. And I think as far as we're talking about Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do and stuff like that, that's what he was trying to get to, more of a natural way of feeling in that situation as opposed to a set amount of movements like in any other martial art form that you see, past tradition, right? Even though those things are important, you don't want that to dictate the moment, and you don't want that to dictate, as we're talking about here, that flow state. We can't get in the flow state if we're indoctrinated. You know what I mean? If you're too
Right.
bogged down in one thing and you indoctrinate like it has to be this way all the time, you know, that's not mental discipline because we know there's other ways of going about things. And if I feel if you're mentally disciplined, you know that.
Mhm.
So I hope that answers the question.
I completely agree. Even with just everyday life, mental discipline is a direct contributing factor to the flow state. In order for you to even recognize that you are in a flow state, it takes the work, it takes repetition, it takes a certain type of consistency and accountability that you have to divulge within yourself, and that deep level of introspection on a continuous basis of you not like over analyzing yourself, but more just calibrating your focus to the things that matters as far as prioritization. And that's what's going to allow you to continuously be into a flow state to where it's effortless, where it's smooth, to where you don't have to feel like it's so many separate parts that you have to juggle in order for things to just flow. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It will start to become a natural rhythmic cycle to where
Right.
you can just continuously do what is necessary. So it's almost like one thing just flow right into another in order for it to flow right into another, because everything at the end of the day is unity consciousness. It's just all in
Mm-hmm.
how you choose to develop it and put it together and make it work for you, because we're not really linear. Nothing is really linear. what
That's right.
what looks away for somebody else can look totally different for somebody else within their arena of spontaneity. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So you
That's
can't
right.
really judge that person just because you're so linear. Like you said, some people are just so closed minded to where they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to develop or get other concepts from other people because they feel like what they're doing is right. But that's the only way that you can really truly become a master of anything, is if you
Right.
always allowing yourself the opportunity to gain knowledge. So yeah, that is, I really
Yep.
appreciate
Yep.
that question.
Yeah.
Mm.
Shout out to D Mob
Yeah.
for that question.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that was a really dope question. Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that you want to, close out with, or anything that you want to give to the people before we wrap it up?
Well, like I said, I just first want to say, this is in no means of me saying that, I'm perfect and I've made it in this journey at all. I'm facing challenges right now like anybody else. And the only way I know how to deal with those challenges is to go towards them, and that's it. And be open. You got to be open. And I have trouble sometimes being open. I'm not gonna lie. Just from things that happen in life, we got the way that we come up in trauma and things like that, stuff we deal with in school and all the stuff that that bother us and things. Everybody has that. So, part of my mission is being more open and kind of more trusting in things. Sometimes I have a little bit of issues with that, but
Mm-hmm.
having to teach and doing capoeira and just being a part of that has helped me tremendously. Because I never was somebody who was singing. Like
Mm-hmm.
sing me what? Nah. But when I got into capoeira, I started to sing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's one of the things that you have to do. So I started to sing, and I started to be okay with my voice, projecting my voice in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the more that we open ourselves to these different things, these uncomfortable things, these challenges, um, although it feels weird in the beginning, you're going to feel a lot stronger than you had before. Because I feel like that's the biggest thing that you can do. Nobody just comes out an expert at everything, and if they do, okay, fine, whatever. That's like ever so many, however many people. But it's okay to be where you are. It's okay to start there. It's okay to have something to climb to, because if you ain't got nothing to climb to, there's no point in even being here.
Correct.
We come here for a challenge, you know, because it said that we're infinite, where we come from. So if you already got everything, then what you hear, you come here for a challenge. Nobody wants to watch, what's my man name? Uh, I just use Superman. Nobody want to watch Superman go save a cat from a tree. We know he can do that. He can fly, whatever, man. You want to see this guy fight like a doggone dinosaur or some weird alien cosmic force that's going to put him on the ropes.
Right.
That's what make you watch Superman. People don't watch. Look, what's that? Dragon Ball Z. People
Mm-hmm.
don't watch hundreds of million thousand episodes of Dragon Ball Z, and that's me. Y'all know I'm a nerd, so I ain't even for the front on y'all. That's my joint. But the same thing happened every time. It's just a new person, some different colors, this new transformation gonna come up, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you still been watching 1,000 episodes. Why? Because there's a new challenge that they got to build up to. But you can look at that and come with that same mentality. There's something to that
Mm-hmm.
of mental discipline, having to train, meeting the next challenge, even though it might be harder than the first one. So I just encourage people to do that. Just show up. Just show up. You got to have the mental discipline to just show up. Even if you're not at your best, give it your best when you get there.
That's real. Yeah, you do have to show up for yourself. That's the most important thing. Like if you don't show up for yourself, it's no point in you trying to show up for anybody else, because that just become pomp and circumstance. You're
Mm-hmm.
not true to yourself at the end of the day. And I truly appreciate that. Is a comment, corned beef and hot pocket, love you, Irv.
Oh, as Shannon,
Yep.
number 7. Nolan, my number 7. What up, bro? He remember those days because he was there too.
Mm-hmm. Sure
Me
was.
being in the hallway, he'd be up there with me. Him,
Mm-hmm.
who else? Norvell, he was on the show.
Yep.
Daddy Norvell with Family Man. And I seen
Mm-hmm.
Kim James saying something earlier too. What's up, bro, Kim? What's up, man?
Absolutely. That's what's up. I truly appreciate you being here with us, bro. It is definitely enlightening about your unique craft and you being a subject matter expert in this arena. Even though you still say that you're still growing and still evolving and you're still under construction, we still appreciate your mastery, because you're still a master, but masters still learn, you know? Masters still, you know, masters need masters too. And
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people don't really understand, and that's what allows you to continue the build of your mastery when you're around other masters. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the way that it is. All of y'all in butterfly mode, and y'all just doing what y'all have to do. And I truly appreciate these high level conversations. It's truly, truly dynamic. Thank you, bro.
I appreciate what you got going on here. That is a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
And it takes a lot to be able to do that and to be as consistent as you're being. I'm inspired because now I gotta be more consistent with what I'm doing with the podcast and stuff. And I see you working every time. I say, "Dang, he got something coming up, something coming up, something coming up," and you got to give props to that, and also props to be able to share your platform with so many, you know, and to give back to those that are in your very close circle. And I think that's very important. And I don't, I see a lot of people are cloud chasing and stuff like that, and they reaching out to people that they don't even know.
Yeah.
But what's beautiful about what you got going on here, you showing the greatness of people that were with you
Yeah.
in your circle, and you acknowledge that, and you're not going past them. That's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate it, bro. Y'all some phenomenal individuals. You're phenomenal. You're well respected. And I have to, show other people what type of person you are, because you're inspiring me. Mental discipline and me getting myself back recalibrated, refocused, getting back moving. I need to go to the I'm not gonna do the arts that you do. I would love to, but what I'm gonna start with is going back in the gym and getting myself together so I can get my mental clarity, so I can remove any mental fog, so I can continue to be consistent and continue to be accountable for, whatever I need to do. So I truly appreciate you. And I just wanted to show everybody how amazing you are. And these are your flowers, bro. Thank you.
Over together. Thank you. I also want to say one more thing. Movement is meditation as well.
Mm.
So you don't have to do the same thing the next person does.
Hmm.
Whatever your heart's telling you to do, if it's hey, go run, hey, do some push-ups, hey, do yoga, uh, whatever kind of movement, you go with that, and you will find a lot of answers there.
Wow. That's explosive. Wow. That's beautiful to leave off on. I appreciate that, bro. I'm gonna have to take that with me for sure. That's a whole gem. For sure. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you as well. Appreciate everybody who's here. Love y'all.
Absolutely. I appreciate everyone that's here who has tuned in, who has made comments, who have came up with amazing questions for us to answer. Thank you so much for being engaged and being here. I just want to let you guys know thank you once again. On Well, the next catalyst conversation will be my sister, my dear sister. Her name is Joy Tiffany, and she will be gracing us with her presence and her dynamic endeavors and character here momentarily coming in the next upcoming days. So I truly appreciate everyone who's here to make catalyst conversations what they are. And y'all just stay tuned. And I appreciate y'all tremendously. Peace.
Thanks. Peace. Yeah, I'll get out of here.